Hey Bulldogs, I'm George Starr, and welcome to the last episode of Code Blue News for this year. Now, obviously, the best thing to talk about as soon as school ends is how it's going to start back up in the fall. Andrew LaRossi has more on the story.
As Massachusetts begins moving through its phased reopening plan, one huge question still remains. How will schools start back up in the fall? Well, the answer was recently sent out in a memo. State Education Commissioner Jeff Riley laid out an extensive plan for schools to resume in the fall. There are obvious guidelines, like wearing masks, sanitizing frequently, and maintaining a 6-foot distance. A maximum of 10 students will be allowed in a room, along with the teacher. This group of students, plus the teacher, will have to stay together and prevent mixing with other groups if possible. There will also be protocols to isolate and discharge students who become sick while at school. Students and staff are also encouraged to stay home if they are experiencing COVID symptoms. All of this and more are highlighted on mass.gov. This is a huge undertaking for schools, and more information about the opening will be sent out over the coming months. We will see what happens when August rolls around. This has been Andrew LaRossi with Code Blue News, signing off.
Thanks, Andrew. Now let's go to Vin, who has some information about the COVID-19 vaccination.
Tremendous progress is being made on a vaccine for COVID-19. Multiple pharmaceutical companies, including Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others, have started trials for vaccines currently under development, and some are showing promising results. Current estimates put the date of completion for vaccine at 12 to 18 months, which sounds like a very long time until you realize that vaccines usually take 10 to 15 years to develop. So what is the science behind COVID-19 and vaccines?
A vaccine usually involves a weakened or dead version of the virus or bacteria. When the vaccine enters the body, the immune system mounts a defensive response and produces antibodies made specifically to combat said disease. When the actual pathogen arrives, memory cells will recognize it and produce antibodies, allowing the body to pin down and destroy the threat. These vaccines are effective, but they take 10 to 15 years to be developed, and we simply don't have that time with COVID-19.
Enter the RNA vaccine, an experimental type of vaccine which uses a specific part of the virus's RNA. Upon entering the body, it causes certain cells to produce viral spike proteins which let the immune system produce antibodies against the target virus, essentially allowing the body to produce its own vaccine. Unlike traditional vaccines, RNA vaccines take a much shorter time to be developed and produced. Though they are still largely experimental, RNA vaccines have shown great promise in testing trials so far.
After vaccines are tested on animals, there are 3 phases of testing on humans. The first phase involves a small number of healthy participants to find out if the vaccine is safe and does what it's supposed to do. The second involves a randomized trial of hundreds of participants to see if the vaccine is effective at immunization. The last phase may involve thousands of participants and is when the right dose and potential side effects are identified. These steps usually take a few years each, but the COVID-19 trials are estimated to take a much shorter time due to emergency workarounds such as starting with human volunteer trials, among others. Naturally, this sped-up process has brought up some ethical and medical concerns.
It could be a year at best before a COVID-19 vaccine is developed, but until then, practice social distancing, take precautions, and do your part in flattening the curve. This has been Vin Wing with Code Blue News.
Thanks, Vin. Now, as some of you may know, Mr. Flanagan is leaving Holbrook Middle High School this year. Matt has more on the story.
For the past few years, Mr. Flanagan has been one of the most involved teachers in Holbrook Middle High School. Whether he is hosting events like the Culture Fair, publishing the Bulldog newspaper, or running track, no pun intended, he finds a way to treat every student fairly and has a personal connection with each. Mr. Flanagan is an AP Spanish teacher, again with a focus on becoming multilingual. He is on the Social Justice Committee at school, which is a group of faculty members that get together to talk about how to address important issues in school and improve the school climate. He also teaches the ESL class, which is for students who use English as a second language. This has always been a great option for a diverse public school like HMHS. Mr. Flanagan recently announced that he will be leaving HMHS to pursue a doctorate degree in education at Columbia University. While it is great to see an HMHS teacher receive such a great opportunity, it's going to be bittersweet to see him go for 2 reasons. Number 1, because the last third of the school year was held at home, Mr. Flanagan won't receive the proper farewell tour he deserves. Number 2, the kids at Holbrook High are always going to miss the rare connection that he had with the student body. For those 2 reasons, I have compiled Flanagan's biggest fans to say goodbye. Enjoy.
I had Mr. Flanagan in 7th grade for history class, and me and my friends took a liking to him when he volunteered to be our teacher to start a photography club at Holbrook High. And he had zero experience doing this, but we were just so passionate about it that he was just excited to help.
So I met Mr. Flanagan about 8 years ago when I started working in Holbrook. That was it was in 2012. So we met 8 years ago, and we didn't really know each other well then. But in 2017, I started volunteering to help out with the track team. And then that's how I got to know him, was through coaching track. And then after a second year of coaching track, we realized how much we had in common. And I always call Mr. Flanagan my work spirit animal because after that, he very quickly became my best friend at work.
I know Mr. Flanagan because he was my track coach when I joined track in 7th grade, but he is also my AP Spanish teacher.
I was introduced to him, and we talked about track, that I was getting introduced to the team, what I'm going to do, what I should expect, and that's how we met. And then after that, he basically told me all the things I need to do when I eventually hit varsity in 8th grade, and he taught me all the things that I need to do for track and how to run, improve myself, and all that type of stuff.
I had Mr. Flanagan in 8th grade, and then I did newspaper with, and he was one of the advisors too.
I knew Mr. Flanagan because he was one of the first teachers I've met when I came to the old high school. He was also my ESL teacher ever since 7th grade.
And we just really see eye to eye on everything. We teach the same way. We have really similar teaching philosophies. We have a lot of the same beliefs. We care about the same causes. We're always involved in the same things at school. So we got really close that way.
What did Flan teach me? Just taught me track. Taught me how to run, improve myself, beat personal records, and just improve as a athlete, I guess.
Being in charge of the photography club with him kind of helped me be a leader in a sense. When I went on to high school, I did things like student council, and I was captain of cheer team, and I feel like I wouldn't have got that leadership role if it wasn't for him helping me start that club.
So I had him for World Civilizations, but Flanagan was just a really laid back guy, and he was really helpful with anything. Helped me learn how to write better with newspaper, and yeah, he was just a really kind guy. So I think he was really patient too. So I think that for life stuff, he definitely was someone that showed a lot of patience. So definitely taught me that.
Flan has helped me in so many different ways when it comes to learning. He has helped me learn more words and the dynamics of 2 languages, and he gives me a lot of new material and articles so that I'm always aware of what's going on in the world.
And he also taught me a lot of stuff at Culture Fair about how to make all the stuff for a bunch of different cultures.
He helped improve with my English. Also, he helped me improve in track. Mr. Flanagan, we're all gonna miss you. Not only in track, but also around the school. I'm gonna miss you especially because I only remember this year, junior year, I would always come into your classroom. You would never kick me out. As for me, you were the only coach I've ever met. It was ever since I started doing track.
He was a pretty amazing guy for, being able to do all these things, being able to host a culture fair, being able to create an amazing track program. And yeah, I'm gonna miss you, Flan. You were amazing. You did so much for Holbrook.
We're all gonna miss you, and I'm glad that you're going back to school because that's an opportunity that everyone should have.
I would just say gracias, Flancito. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. I'm going to miss you so much, but I know you're off to do so many much greater things. So yeah, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Flanagan, I really enjoyed like all the conversations we had. Loved talking about Bruce when we used to talk about Bruce in class. He used to play Springsteen stuff like a couple times with lessons, which was cool. But he was a really friendly guy, and I always enjoyed my interactions with him. So I would just say, best of luck going forward, and everyone in Holbrook's gonna miss you.
Mr. Flanagan, I just want to say thank you, and I wish you the best of luck at the new school year to teach at, and I know that all the students will love you.
So, next year's going to be hard, but I know he's going on to such an awesome future, and I'm so excited for him. And we're always going to stay in touch because, like I said, he's my spirit animal. So we love you, Mr. Flanagan, so, so much. And I'm so thankful that I got to have this time with him. And I wish it could be longer, but I know that his future is really, really bright. And I'm so excited to see what he does with this new degree that he's about to get. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan, for all you've done in HMHS, and good luck to you wherever you go in life. This is Matt Messina, back to you in the studio.
Recently, a prayer vigil was held at Sumner Field to honor the death of George Floyd. Now let's go to Caleb, who has more on the story.
On Sunday, June 7th, a small protest was held at Sumner Field in Holbrook. The protest was held to honor the death of George Floyd, the man killed by law enforcement in Minneapolis that has sparked days of protests and calls for the end of discrimination against the black community by police. The program was short and peaceful, and speakers included Father Tim from St. John's Church and Tiffany Lozanne, a local parent and organizer of the event. In her remarks, Ms. Lozanne encouraged people to come together in solidarity to bring an end to the oppression and racism that has led to repeated injustices at the expense of black lives. She also emphasized that this battle is not black versus white, but that it is everyone versus hate, right versus wrong, and justice versus injustice. After Ms. Lozanne's speech, a die-in was held. People were encouraged to lay on the ground, kneel, or bow for the 8 minutes and 46 seconds where the Minneapolis police officer knelt on George Floyd's neck, resulting in his death. During this time, the audio was played of the video that shows the officer kneeling on Floyd. Here's some footage of the die-in.
There's water or something. Please. Look, he's not responsive right now.
At the end of the protest, Ms. Lozanne encouraged the crowd to remember this moment and to start having the tough conversations with their children, friends, and social groups about racism, oppression, and racial profiling. This has been Caleb Tobin for Code Blue News, signing off.
Thanks, Caleb. Lastly, Matt is back with the thoughts of some Code Blue members on this year's show.
Ladies and gentlemen, spread the word. Season 2 of Code Blue News is over, and it was a success. This segment is going to be a wrap-up for the year, so I hope you're all as ready as I am. Let's start in September. Around the beginning of Season 2, we decided that things were going to be very different this year. No more memes like the first year, we were going to be serious. Naturally, it was going to be very polarizing and split the fan base. Some people missed the memes, and some people respected the change. Looking back, it may have been too radical to just completely shut off memes from the program. By the middle of the year, things were a lot better. More on that when it comes. And our old pal Caroline Duggan was named an executive producer, joining George and Caleb as the authority. Speaking of Caroline, she made the freshman barbecue segment, and somewhere in his mansion, Quentin Tarantino decided he just wasn't good enough for the film industry. It was that good. On September 27th, Katori made her incredible do-rag segment, earning an award from the New England Scholastic Press Association. We also had our first intro, thanks to Dominic. In October, things were beginning to come together. Before this, we were getting by, but we were an assembly line. No one really knew their roles, and we were constantly making mistakes. This tends to happen when you want to change an entire program. On October 4th, Vincent dropped one of the best segments of the year, TikTok. Brianna, Duggan, and I made a Triple E segment that, once again, won an award from the New England Scholastic Press Association. We made our first social media post and began using previews around this time. Things were coming together.
Do you like cats? The new English teacher, Miss Brusso, does. Find out more about her with Caroline.
On October 11th, we had the beginning of trivia. According to the second episode of Code Blue Feud, this is now our most popular show. It was really just a stupid idea that me and Brianna came up with.
Believe it or not, we didn't think anybody would watch the damn thing.
It proved to be bigger than we could have ever imagined. Shout out to Miss Toy, who not only won trivia, but is the people's champion. Also on October 11th, we had the biggest botch of the year when I introduced the homecoming court. It was a very last-minute decision to do this, and I was simply not mentally ready.
Now, let's go take a look at this year's homecoming court.
Oh, he's leaving now.
Hello, everybody. And here we have the homecoming court.
Hi, I'm Lucy. Hi, I'm Riley.
In those moments when we tried to figure out what was going on live, I almost blacked out. I am not exaggerating for the sake of this segment. It was so scary, and I still have nightmares. On October 25th, we held the first Spirit Week episode, which was our first meme-ish episode as well. We swore at the beginning of the year that we would be more serious. However, we had a logical reason this time. To bring the school together for 1 week, we should be comedic.
Yo, what's up? It's me and Maddie.
Hi.
That's what's up.
Wait, Terry, go back.
I don't believe in democracy.
Then, us as a team came to a conclusion. There's nothing wrong with memes as long as there is a logical reason for them. More on that later. For all of these reasons, I can safely say October is the single most important month in the history of the Blue brand. In November, we began to finally gel and have a consistent plan each week. On November 22nd, we interviewed Tiana DeCanto live at a rest area when they were on their way to Pennsylvania. Considering how the last live event went, this was fantastic. On November 25th, we had the longest episode of all time to celebrate Thanksgiving. This had two notable moments. Nick Chaffee had his iconic segment about student loans with his classroom design. This officially made Chaffee the babyface of Code Blue News. We also had the first episode of Code Blue Feud, which was arguably the best received moment of the year. And Aiden Kelly. What a jolly good show. Now on to December. December 13th was a stacked show. Andrew made a segment about the quote, okay boomer. Vincent made a segment about school lunch, which is, I'm not kidding, the highest rated segment of the year according to STN, the Student Television Networking Company. This was just ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, the barbecue segment exists, guys. But of course, we had executive producer George Starr's first ever segment, the gun control segment. Obviously one of the all-time greats. There's also an urban legend involving this segment that it made the 6th graders cry. I don't know if that's true, and I also don't know why I'm bringing this up, but here I am. On December 20th, we had a holiday episode. It was also the episode where I stood there for a while on stage. In my defense, where do I go? Do I hop off the stage or do I stay? If I go, there would be trouble, but if I stay, there would be double. And by double, I mean my friend Carrietta making fun of me for months. Hurts my feelings. Alright, it's the new year. It's January. On January 3rd, Niall asked people what their resolutions were. People seemed very excited for 2020, which is just really sad looking back. Also, Chuck talked about hot dogs. January 10th was a doozy. Not Zach Lil doozy, just a normal doozy. Nick Chaffee made a great midterm segment, once again proving that he is the crowd favorite.
But, you're gonna have to take him in every single class, including Spanish.
No habla inglés.
Don't you mean Espanol?
Meanwhile, Brianna and I made a tribute to former HMHS teacher, Mr. Monteith.
I think students are unique in respect that they are all unique. They carry their own brand.
January 24th was the pulling of the Code Blue raffle. Basically, this was us trying to fund a trip to the STN convention. For some reason, we just forgave them for not giving the barbecue segment any awards. The first winner was Chuck LaRossi, who got to hold a sign. Good for you, Chuck.
They're jokes. And the sign holder is hilariously Chuck LaRossi.
The second winner was Allison Johnson, who got a 20-second cameo. And the biggie, Maya Rose, won her own segment.
Let's get a big ol' right to the bottom once again. Person who has their own segment is Maya Rose. Oh dear.
You could see the genuine fear in my eyes as I read the ticket. Could this be what it takes to dethrone the barbecue segment as the greatest ever? January 31st was just insane looking back. In my life, no celebrity death has affected me as much as Kobe and his daughter Gianna. I made a segment to honor them, and it's now one of my all-time favorites. George made a segment about the coronavirus, which is crazy to look back on. Oh yeah, it's February time. February 14th was the week we honored Black history.
Before we go, we have 2 raffle pullings to do. First, we're going to do the AirPod drawing.
It was also the day we pulled the AirPod raffle winner. Okay, you can't make this stuff up. This was the first day Dominic was an anchor and you won the AirPods.
Dominic Costa.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Wow.
It looked so rigged. I swear it wasn't. We love the fans. Alright, on to March. This is where things get rocky. On March 6th, we had the introduction of the red glasses. They are coming back senior year. Bet on it. We also had the single funniest bonus meme of all time.
Would it sound stupid if I ask what's your nationality? Because, like...
It would work. I mean, knowing how I am, it just kind of works. So yeah, ask it.
So what is your nationality? May I redirect you to the gigantic Brazil poster behind you? You betrayed me! You said it would be stupid! That was part of the bit, bud. No more segments. You're out.
Hi, my name's Maya Rose, and I'm going to be asking people random questions. Let's go.
March 13th, the last episode we made at school. Maya dropped her segment, and while it was solid, the barbecue segment remained the greatest ever, in case anyone was worried. Alright, let's slow down for a second. For months, a group of kids were trying their hardest to raise money to go to the STN convention in Washington, D.C. AirPods, segments, sign holding, we gave it all away. March 11th was the day we were set to leave, and we were all so pumped. March 10th, the day before, Governor Baker says Massachusetts schools can't go on trips outside the state.
Wait a minute. Oh my god.
Natalie! We never even went.
Guys, I'm so excited to go to DC. Oh my god, when are we going? Can we go now? I thought we were leaving.
Truly, hearing that news is one of the worst moments of my high school career. I'm tempted to put it alongside the time I almost fainted when showing the homecoming court. Also, that's the last time making fun of this during the segments, so I hope you enjoyed them. April, May, and June are all going to get lumped together if you don't mind. Code Blue News still went strong. We reported on all aspects of the coronavirus and how it affected Holbrook High. We made update videos to give students the proper information. You can say I'm crediting myself too much, but I'm more proud of my team. Despite less technology, we had no less ambition to get out there and report. That is why I truly think Code Blue is the best team I've ever been a part of. Everyone does their part and does it well. Everyone has a purpose. Now that it's all said and done, this year was a huge success. We eventually got over with the fans who missed memes back in October, and we proved to colleges that not even a coronavirus will stop us from our show. I am beyond proud to call myself a member of Code Blue News. But enough of what I think. What do you guys think about Code Blue News?
Code Blue has taught me a lot of things, really. It taught me how to work well with all my classmates, everybody in the class right now. Making the show every week, it really taught me some sort of way to work with a lot of people. Some people that I don't really talk to a lot, some people that I'm best friends with. So it really taught me a lot of communication and teamwork.
So Code Blue kind of helped me figure out what I want to do, because before I knew I wanted to go into video production, but I wasn't sure like what part of it I wanted to do. But Code Blue's kind of helped me figure out that I like doing a lot of the control room jobs, like audio, technical directing, doing behind the scenes camera stuff. So it helped me figure out what I want to do in life.
It was a really helpful experience because it simulated a somewhat realistic work environment, and it also taught me a lot about cooperation and working with other people and building off of everyone's ideas.
For me, Code Blue
kind of showed me where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do as a career and as a future. I think without the class, I wouldn't have realized my passion.
It's just kind of taught me how to work with a team. It's taught me how to edit. It's taught me how to do a bunch of things relating to video. Did I say working with the team? I did. Doesn't matter. I just like working with the team, and eventually it'll probably teach me how to have good leadership skills as well. So I'm looking forward to that experience as well.
For me personally, Code Blue was a way to express my creativity throughout the different segments that I make, and overall it's been a very fun experience. So I'm extremely grateful for having the opportunity to have taken the class.
So my favorite memory from this year's show is we were doing the AirPod raffle and we were pulling the tickets live on the show. I think it was Dominic and Katori anchoring. So Dominic pulled the tickets and he pulled his name, and I don't know why, but it was so funny, but so like really awkward too. And everyone after the show that we talked to, like a lot of people thought it was rigged. It wasn't rigged, by the way, but yeah, that's gotta be one of my favorite memories.
For me personally, the best moment of Code Blue was probably the entirety of my TikTok segment. I think it's really the peak of my career at Code Blue, and I don't think I'll ever be able to top it.
Niall saying, "You ready, Dom?" every time before the camera started recording.
You ready? You ready, Dom? Yeah, sit down. That good, Dom? You ready, Dom? Dom, Alright, it's good. Dom, anything else we need to ask him, Dom? Anything else, Dom? Anything else we need, Dom?
Probably the Valentine's Day segment. Like the entirety of that segment for me, I feel like was probably one of the best things I've ever crafted for Code Blue.
Okay, so like, what are your thoughts on that good old Singles Awareness Day?
The what? The time when we were live, and it was a mess because we were trying to do like pull off a live show on the broadcast. So we like, when Matt was anchoring, and we had to he had to introduce all of Homecoming Court. And I was sitting in the control room freaking out because it wasn't going as planned, but I also had to go and be on the show because I was on Homecoming Court. Quick flex.
I'm going to miss everybody, no matter if they were there for a couple years or, just this year. I know the seniors leaving, obviously. We didn't get to see them to the fullest because quarantine, but I'm really going to miss them. They made Code Blue very fun, and for the people leaving for different schools or for different reasons, gonna miss them equally.
This year, the seniors played such a big role in the Code Blue program, so I definitely think I'll miss all of them. Some more than others, like Niall. I don't know.
Caroline was interesting. Katori. I'm gonna see her at Walgreens a lot, I guess.
The seniors that I'm going to miss most this year are probably Caroline and Niall. Caroline because I've just known her forever and she's a pretty fun person to work with. Niall because I've not only been doing Code Blue with him, but I've also done Video Production Club with him since I think I was in 7th grade. So I've been doing video stuff with him for 4 or 5 years now, so it'll definitely be weird and I'll miss not doing all that stuff with him anymore.
Gonna miss everyone from Code Blue simply just because I think I learned from everyone in the aspect of producing stuff and being in Code Blue, and I also think there were people that I didn't know going into it that I'm friends with now.
So I'm gonna miss Mr. Gorman a lot. I'm gonna miss working with everyone, Dylan, Jenna. It was a lot of fun.
As for me, I'm going to miss all the seniors of Code Blue News pretty much forever. Code Blue has honestly been my happy place this year, and until I die, I will honestly remember this team as the team that changed the program and my life forever. So, for the last time this year, I am Matt Messina. Back to you in the studio.
That wraps up this week's episode. We hope you all enjoyed Code Blue this year, and we would like to thank everyone for their continued support. For the last time this year, I'm George Starr. See you in Code Blue Season 3. It's going to be the best season ever. It's the golden age. More George, more Chuck, more maybe Good Feats is coming back. Chadwell Time too. More Andrew, more everybody. More Aiden Kelly, he's coming back. Matt's canceled. No more Matt. Chaffee's the exec. I'm calling it right now. I'm betting all of my money I got from working during coronavirus on it. We're bringing Jenna's going to become the new Gorman. Not a lot of people know who Jenna is, but she's going to become the new Gorman. Gorman's taking a vacation episode. I said Chadwell's coming back. But yeah, season 3, it's gonna be awesome. Stay tuned. It's probably gonna be stuff over the summer too. Just watch it. Just do it. It's the best. Just do it. Bye.